If we combine the official trades and reported signings so far, 11 QBs have found a new home. We start with Kirk Cousins. Cousins is set to sign a 3-year, $84 million deal, fully guaranteed with the Vikings. He is expected to finalize his contract this morning and be introduced as a Vikings starter this afternoon. Meanwhile, the Bills signed quarterback A.J. McCarron to a 2-year deal. Sources tell ESPN the contract has a base value of $10 million and can be worth up to $16.5 million if he reaches playing time incentives. The former Bengals backup is 2-1 in his career as a starting quarterback, throwing 6 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Cousins and McCarron round out what has been a crazy last few weeks in the NFL free agency scenario. Case Keenum, Jimmy Graham, Malcolm Butler, all among other notable players who have inked deals with new teams so far this season.
We got a bunch of NFL teams making money moves, folks. Teddy Bruschi in the house. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
As always.
Stephen A.
Max?
Yes.
Which team's the winner? Who improved themselves the most in free agency?
Believe it or not, I think it's the Denver Broncos. And you know, a lot of times I'll talk about the coach and the quarterback combination. Do you have that? Defenses, Teddy, they age quickly, but you got the coach and the quarterback. As you can see from New England's experience, you can have a long run. In Denver's case, I look at the GM.
You in Case Keenum, yeah.
I look at John Elway and what he's been able to do there. Because, of course, even in New England's case, the GM is very important, Bill Belichick. But John Elway first was able to get to the Super Bowl with offense and then change the whole thing around. You blink, a couple years later, they're back, this time with defense. They don't have an offense. All he needed was competent quarterback play. Didn't need great quarterback play. And I bring this up a lot. But when Brock Osweiler wanted a new deal, it was Elway, the first sane voice on the subject, who said, wait a minute, I think he's a starting quarterback. That doesn't mean I think he should get franchise quarterback money. I don't want to give this guy $100 million. Osweiler went to get the money somewhere else, and Elway was right about that. He got him back for pennies because Osweiler's not that good. So he surveys the landscape, John Elway, and he sees, I don't think any of these guys are amazing. But that guy, Case Keenum, not only is he good, the highest QBR of any quarterback who played a full season last year, including Tom Brady. The only guy with a higher QBR is Carson Wentz. It doesn't mean he's the best quarterback in the league, but the guy can play. This is not Trevor Siemian. You're squinting hard enough to try to pretend you see a good quarterback. This guy is a good, I'm not saying he's big, he's a good, solid NFL quarterback. There's some prejudice against the fact that he's 6'1". Right, he doesn't look the part. He was undrafted. He had a bad time in L.A., as all quarterbacks did under Jeff Fisher. But this is a good, at the least competent quarterback. I believe the best available guy this year, actually, since Drew Brees stayed put. And Elway got him. And I think if Elway has his quarterback, look out.
All right, Case Keenum,
I swear to goodness, if I hear you bring up Brock Osweiler one more time, I mean, this man should. Why don't you just fire his agent and you represent him? Because let me tell you something. The fact that you mentioned him so much is gonna get him paid. I mean, you're the only person alive that keeps Brock Osweiler relevant. Nobody on the football planet thinks about Brock Osweiler until you bring him up.
Mr. Jay
You've been focusing on him for 2 years.
Brock
Osweiler. Who gives a damn about Brock Osweiler? Now let me get to my point. Even though the Chiefs stunk up the joint defensively, they were ranked 15th for 28 in yards allowed, 29th against the pass, I think like 25th against the run. Eric Berry going down had a lot to do with that. They've got rid of some pieces. They kept their defensive coordinator. We'll see what happens on the defensive side of the ball. I'm excited about the Kansas City Chiefs because of what I see offensively. I think the acquisition of Sammy Watkins to pair with Kelsey and Hill and Hunt, combined with the fact that you got rid of Alex Smith, I think speaks volumes. Because, again, you're talking about a Kansas City Chiefs team that is hell-bent on being a potent and prolific offense. Even though they were ranked 6th last year, when you got a pedestrian quarterback like Alex Smith, you're limited pretty much in what the perception is as it pertains to what you're going to do. Nobody really expects much from you. You got folks excited about Patrick Mahomes because they think he's a gunslinger. They think, you know, you talk to his teammates, which I have, they rave about this guy, and they talk about his arm strength. They talk about the gunslinger mentality. They talk about that swag that he has that no one ever accused Alex Smith of having. You combine that with Andy Reid and his know-how on the offensive side of the ball with the pieces that they have, looking at the AFC overall in its totality, and I'm excited about what I'm going to see from the Kansas City Chiefs. I like what I've seen them do thus far.
Yeah, I like both those choices. Keenum is a better situation at quarterback for the Denver Broncos. Kansas City Chiefs did a good job. I'm not sure about Sammy Watkins. I don't know about the consistency with the injuries, if he's going to live up to that contract. But defense, Stephen A., for the Chiefs, Anthony Hitchens. They signed him also. That's a good sign right there on defense.
That is a good
young linebacker, going to be 26 when the season starts. Love watching him play. Solid.
He can play all the linebacker spots.
He can. He's a very solid player. He's going to help them defensively. I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills. And I'm going with the Buffalo Bills because the main signing I like with Buffalo is Kyle Williams. And they're re-signing a player, but we're talking about free agency here, and what we're talking about is a lot of independent contractors coming from a lot of different teams to one team. So how are they all going to mesh? How are they all going to gel into a team? For Buffalo, you're bringing back your culture setter in Kyle Williams. Sean McDermott, all he did the day he got there was talk about Kyle Williams, talk about his leadership, how he leads that locker room. Bringing him back to keep the culture consistent is huge. And I'll tell you why. When you lose a guy like that, all of a sudden, I'm a young player, and I feel like, all right, I got to step up now. I got to do more. I got to say what I feel and all this emotional, and it looks unnatural. It's like, man, no. Get back. Get out the way. You're the wrong guy. You're not Kyle Williams. Stop trying to be someone you're not. So there's a little bit of a leadership type of shift that sometimes can go wrong. So to keep that consistent is huge. You bring in Star Lotulelei also. They struggled last year versus the run after they got rid of Darius. That's a fact. The numbers say that. So bringing him in there is going to help them versus the run. A.J. McCarron, a lot of questions about A.J. McCarron. What can he do when he's the starter? But in my opinion, in my gut, A.J. McCarron just has Buffalo written all over him. I mean, he's got that sort of, I don't want to say swag, but he's got guts. He's not afraid to go out there and take a chance. He's got college championship pedigree. I'll give him that. But I like him in Buffalo because also with all of this, I see the plan. I see the plan. You also bring in a Trent Murphy, another pass rusher, but we keep our culture consistent. We're making our defense even better. We got a veteran quarterback, and now we've got these picks to go get the quarterback we want. A plan. It's what I recognize.
What about my New York Football Giants and the signing of Nate Solder, the left tackle from the Patriots? They get to move Eric Flowers to the right side. Maybe he can stick there. They signed a guard from Carolina. Gettleman is addressing the line for the Giants, and maybe that's a tipping point for them. They have the second pick in the draft. If Saquon Barkley's there, OBJ, everything, that could be an offense.
If you complete the plan, if your number one goal in New York is to reestablish that protection for Eli Manning, to run that football, I think you got Nate Solder, bring in Quentin Nelson with the second overall pick, get the guard, and then that's a plan I would see, because even though you got Nate, what do you do with Flowers, Richburg left? I think it's still not complete. Bring in another piece with Quentin with number 2, then I say you start with an offensive line.
You would spend the number 2 overall pick in the draft on a guard?
I would. As good as that I've seen him play, I've watched the film of this kid. And the guard position is more important now. It's just different. You can give help to a left tackle. You can't give help to a guard. Defenses can put him on the island. Let me put someone over the center, go over to the defensive left. Put my edge rusher out here on the right, and I'm going to take that left tackle off the edge, and then all of a sudden, there's my best 3 technique on that guard, one-on-one, on an island, and you can beat him and get to that quarterback fastest path, A to B, straight line. That's the way NFL defenses are doing it now. It's called a diamond front. They call it a bear front. Someone's over the center, both guards are covered up, and then you got those edge rushers on the outside. Where's it coming from? The one island is at the guard position. It's very important for a quarterback, especially like Eli Manning, when he sees trouble coming, he's going down.
Get smarter with Teddy on the show.
He's just getting down on the ground, so I think it's a very important position to solidify right now. Left tackle's done. Did you overpay? Good for Nate, getting that money. But go ahead and get that kid at number 2.
If they didn't go line, would you go running back then? Would you go Saquon and pass on all the quarterbacks?
I would.
Okay.
I would, because Eli, I think you can give us a good solid year, maybe 2, to just give me average quarterback play. Listen, give him the best chance to succeed. That O-line can be there for you for the next 3 to 4 years. depending on how long Solder has.
Do you know what you're giving me? You're giving me hope right now, and I absolutely love
All right.
it.
Good.
We'll
Glad I could
see
help.
you on NFL Live later, Teddy. Thank you for the insight. So Max says Broncos, Teddy says Bills, Stephen A says Kansas City, 1 free agency. Still to come, the guys will dive into last night's double overtime thriller in the Bean between the wounded Wizards and Celtics. Plus, Tubby Smith out at Memphis, but was this the right move considering they had a 21-win season? Jay Billis joins us for that debate at 11 a.m. Plus, the tournament challenge continues. Over 16 million brackets. What are you doing? Log on ESPN.com, fill out your bracket, win some cash.
Now I'm going to get into the word.